Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Classic Gaming Brothers. I'm Seth.
And I'm Zach.
And we are the Classic Gaming Brothers.
That's right, we are.
That's right.
How you doing over there, brother?
I'm hot.
Yes.
How are you doing?
Oh, equally hot. It's that time of the year, classic gaming fans, when Seth and I have to deal with the unbearable problems of summer. For a little breaking of the world lore, we're located on the second floor of both of our independent abodes, and heat rises, and it is brutal, as they say. Very brutal in terms of the heat. So you might hear, at least on my end, you might hear a fan going in the background. I am not turning it off because I want to live. And Seth doesn't have a fan, so he will die for the podcast.
That's right. Let's see how hot it is in this room right now. According to my phone's temperature, I don't know if it's broken or if it's truly there, but it is 99 degrees.
No.
It is 99.9 degrees Fahrenheit in this room. Outside is 85.6. So I do have a window open. For those who don't use freedom units, I'll do it for you. But I was gonna say it's Freedom Day, so.
I was gonna say, really? On America's birthday, you're gonna convert for them?
Yes, well, we do have Europeans who don't understand things. So it's 37.7 Celsius.
Yeah, it's hot. We decided collectively that we are going to phone it in on this one.
Yeah, I know. I think it's truly the humidity. It's like 70% humidity.
That's the worst part, right? Like there was a hot day a few weeks ago that it just wasn't humid, and I was like, this is actually nice. Like I could deal with this. It was like 80 degrees, and I was like, this is cozy. But like the moment the humidity spikes, you get the problem.
In case you're somebody who doesn't understand why humidity makes things worse, heat likes to escape the body, and if it's humid, it doesn't have anywhere to go because it goes into water. Whereas if it's dry, then the heat will just escape, and you don't feel hot because it is the temperature. You really feel hot because of the change in temperature. But anyway, there's another thing that's happening recently, and that is America's birthday. So we would like to spend some time right now saying happy birthday, America. This is one of your many days that we can go back to the formation of the country.
That's right.
Was the Declaration of Independence was written on today?
It was adopted.
Did they send it to people?
Oh yeah, they sent it to a copy to England.
Did England receive it on July 4th?
England received the Declaration of Independence on August 10th, 1776.
So it was a Declaration of Independence.
Right. Who did we declare it to?
You can adopt independence, but if you don't tell the person you're independenting from, does it really mean much?
It's like in The Office when Michael Scott realizes he needs to declare bankruptcy because of his debts, and he steps out of his office and says, "I declare bankruptcy."
Yeah, doesn't really work. So maybe we'll do another Independence America Day on I'm going to call it the observation or the Declaration of Independence Day, not Independence Day. This is just like us being like, woohoo, we're free. But our jailer is still like, you're still locked in. And then August 10th is when they read it and they go, oh, drat. Dude, what do you think the king did when he read that note? Do you think he was like, poopies?
He was like, oh, toilet paper. I'm going to wipe this one out.
Oh, we shouldn't make fun of King George III.
Why? He's dead. That's
true. That's true. I mean, it wasn't all that bad. He stars in Bridgerton, and he's pretty good looking in Bridgerton. Anyway, happy birthday, America. We have themed this episode around America, except for our recently played and retro rewinds. So let's get those out of the way. Well, retro rewind will live in the back, but we can do recently played. Zach.
Yes, Seth.
I'm going to go first.
Yeah, sure.
Recently, I've been playing Startup Company. It's a business simulation sandbox where you're the CEO of a new company, and it takes place kind of like, I'm gonna say like in the 90s, I guess, because it's all about building a website, and it's like websites are new. So like you have a landing page, there's like hundreds of thousands of people are visiting your website and they're so happy kind of era of the technology. Startup Company was developed and published by Havgard Games, and it came out back on April 10th, 2010. And in the game, you, like I stated, you kind of build up a first company. You first rent a tiny little office. office and you make yourself a little desk, and then you sit at your desk, and then you start recruiting people, and you start going through applications, and you hire a designer and a developer, and eventually you get a lead developer, you get some people in research so that you can find and unlock new abilities, and you get a sysadmin to build servers, and then you can build servers and get bigger offices. And so I started a company, and I called my company Let's Figure It Out, because it was my first time playing the game, and I thought that was a good name. I forgot what my CEO's name was. I think it was just randomly generated, maybe Greg. And then the website, though, that they launched was a website that I would like to call Only Dance, not OnlyFans, which is a website that is popular for people who are looking for a interesting time. But Only Dans in this world is a website where you can only find Dans. So you go there and there's just Dans. It's also a dating website, so you can only find Dans to date. That's the premise of the website. It is a dating website called Only Dans, and you can only find Dans to date. There are 3 features of the website: a landing page, a video component, and text ads. They're like banner ads, but they're like just text ads. So it's like you have a website that tells you, like a splash page that's like Only Dans, me Only Dans. Then there's only videos that you can access. I don't know how people are figuring out how to date on it. And then there's ads. And that is a mark of a true great website. Burning money trying to build this website. Clearly could have hired better people, because there was a guy, he was my lead developer. He was 97% completed on something. 5 o'clock came, he left. Didn't come back. I was like, you delayed a feature launch because you had to go home. I was like, what the hell? I was like, if I was working in that office, I would have stayed later. Also, you have no way to control the work schedule of your employees as of yet that I found. So I have some employees that show up at 7 a.m. My character doesn't show up. The CEO doesn't show up till 8. So like, what's this dude doing going into the office at 7 when nobody's there? What is he doing for an hour? I don't know. But you can also get a manager skill, so you can manage people and you can make production trees. So you could be like, we need to produce these things. It's very similar to video game developer or dev. I think it's called video game dev, if you're familiar with that, where you kind of build piece parts and then you assemble those piece parts into a thing. This thing is a website. So it's been a lot of fun. They did another game called like Big Ambitions, which apparently is like The Sims but a business owner. So I'm interested in seeing that and seeing if I can own some like odd business. I really wanted to like make my website all like a AWS type deal where I was just going to have server spaces. But I don't think you could do that in Startup Company, but maybe you could do it in Big Ambitions. But anyway, so Startup Company by Hogarth Games. I picked it up on the Steam summer sale for about $6 and change. So it's on sale from $13. So it's a pretty good pickup for $6. And yeah, it's been great. The Steam Summer Sale has been pretty cool this year. It's going on till July 9th. Ooh. So it'll still be going on for another week or so after this episode comes out. Yeah. Well, 4 days. So check out the summer sale. Hopefully it gets cooler in my office so that I can actually play the games that I buy on it and enjoy the summer sale.
Yeah, hopefully.
Zach, what about you? What have you recently been playing?
Seth, recently I've been playing Escape the Backrooms, released in 2025 and developed by Fancy Games and Blackbird Interactive. Escape the Backrooms is a cooperative first-person horror game based on the Backrooms creepypasta and lore associated with it. For those who don't know, the Backrooms, which just came out as a movie, was originally a story posted on 4chan that accompanied kind of a weird photo of what looks like an abandoned office area. The original story is very short. It goes, if you're not careful and you no-clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the back rooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, the approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell heard you. That story inspired an entire Wikipedia called the Backrooms Wiki, where people outlined the various quote-unquote levels of the Backrooms, and that Wikipedia inspired the game that I played, Escape the Backrooms. Now, other people have also pulled stuff from that wiki and created their own lore about the Backrooms, specifically Kane Parsons, who is a YouTuber who created a web series that inspired the movie The Backrooms, which he directed and was released in 2026. But the game itself is pulling mostly from the wiki. It's a fun game. You you wander around the titular backrooms as you try to find your way to different levels with your friends. The game uses proximity chat, so if you lose track of your friends, it may be hard to find them. There's also various monsters and entities you can encounter, such as a mimic-like creature that will take the form of one of your friends and follow you around before you realize that it's not your friend because they're also standing next to you. You'll be with like a group of 4 people, and you'll be like, wait a second, why is there 5 of us? And then someone, all of a sudden, one of them turns into like the monster and chases you. But it's pretty cool. It's a little creepy. Each floor kind of has its own theme and gameplay mechanic to it. So there's one floor where if the lights go off, creatures will get you, so you have to only travel within the lights. There's another floor where there are these dog creatures that you have to blind before they, if they see you. There's a floor where, again, the mimic is there. It's just kind of a constant barrage of random horror things that are after you. But it was a good time to play. A little janky, but fun with a group of friends. That's Escape the Backrooms, available on Steam, probably for sale right now. But that being said, we're going to get into our episode today. As Seth and I talked about at the beginning of this episode, it is America's 250th birthday, though we're off by a day. The Declaration of Independence was adopted July 4th, 1776, officially marking the day that America gave the British a big old middle finger and took it as their first step to becoming a sovereign nation.
Officially marking the day when they formed the middle finger and sent it off to be delivered.
The British did not see the middle finger until August.
They'll see it eventually, but it was on its way. Imagine like July 20th and someone's like, should we have done that? Like it was already, it's like on a boat. So
what if the
far
boat
away.
Sank?
Well, I'm sure they would have just sent a copy.
Yeah, well, no, I assumed they sent a copy, but what if a boat sank and Britain never got it?
They were like, oh, just send it on every ship.
Yeah.
Just keep sending them. Just spam mail the...
Just spam the British with the Declaration.
Spam the British with the Declaration of Independence. I got a question. You can legally send the king mail.
Yes, you can legally send the king mail.
What if... Do you think they would appreciate if you just mailed the King of England the Declaration of Independence?
I wonder how often he gets a copy of the Declaration.
It'd just be like, here you go.
Here's another one, my lord.
Oh.
He's like, oh, another one.
To be fair, and to our dear listeners, the Declaration of Independence is not the Constitution, nor is it the Bill of Rights.
No, it's neither. It's just us declaring that we are independent from England.
We won't have any, like, an actual formalized government for a little while with the Constitution.
I mean, it takes a bit. is it the 1790?
1787. Doesn't get ratified till 1788 and doesn't go into effect until 1789.
Yeah, I know it took a bit of time. Getting back to our notes, Seth and I do have a close connection to this period of time, as our family dates back to before the founding of America, with some of our earliest ancestors in the United States. One of them served for the British Army in the King's Philip War.
We did have a later descendant who served as the Sons of Liberty.
Seth and I do have a soft spot for this period of time. During our Too Many Games expedition, we spent considerable time at Valley Forge. There is also never a day where we don't debate who's better, Ethan Allen or John Hancock. Seth will say Ethan as he loves those Green Mountain Boys. I say Johnny because I'm a Boston boy and I always have to support a Sox fan, which I assume John Hancock was or will be. Also, John Hancock worked with Sam Adams, and everybody loves that guy, or at least his beer. So...
And John Hancock, his gravestone, it's a big old Hancock. If you're ever in the Boston area, I recommend checking out the cemetery across the street from the Beantown and go check out John Hancock's large gravestone.
Yes, yeah, it is certainly... It's as big as a signature, that's for sure. But really, what better way to celebrate the day after the Big 250 than by talking about some video games that follow that time in history? Seth, do you want to take it away with our first game?
Sure. And that first game is the Sons of Liberty. It's the first game on our list and the oldest. Sons of Liberty is not related to the Metal Gear Solid game of the same name, but is related, at least in name, to the clandestine political organization that operated in the 13 colonies prior to and during the American Revolution, which we have family who were members. The game was developed by our good friends at Strategic Simulations, Inc. and released in 1987 for Apple II, Atari 8-bit computers, MS-DOS, and C64. Considering it was released in the 1980s and for computers that, at the time, didn't have a ton of graphical capabilities, it's safe to say that the Sons of Liberty isn't the most visually appealing game. You kind of play as little blue army men if they were the size of a few bytes on your computer. And the graphics are very similar to ASCII, ZZT type of
Yeah, they're
graphics.
they're almost like text. Yeah, very close to being like text graphics.
Yeah,
but
it's just a little bit above ASCII
yeah,
graphics.
yeah.
You take control of the Continental Army during crucial battles in the American Revolution, or at least the game claims that you do, and such as during the Battle of Bunker Hill in Boston, and you coordinate your troops and artillery while your computer opponent does the same. It's a turn-based strategy game, so you move your characters, and then the computer moves theirs. Then they fight. The game was well received, with Computer Gaming World comparing the game positively to SSI's American Civil War games. So SSI was like, yeah, we're really good at doing brothers fighting brothers. Now let's do Americans fighting foreign invaders.
Brits, yeah. Up next is Revolution 76 from Britannica Software, released in 1989 for the IBM PC and Apple IIgs. The game was primarily written and developed by Ed Bever, who previously worked with Sid Meier. Sid Meier also put out a game that had some American Revolution theme to it, and that was Sim Colonialization. But Revolution 76 is a political simulation strategy game where you must take on economic, social, and political components of the American Revolutionary War. The game starts out with the convocation of the Second Continental Congress and proceeds from there. During a turn in the game, you set policies, assign leaders to different positions, recruit military, negotiate with European countries, and try to keep taxes, inflation, and even slavery under control in your burgeoning nation. Once you declare independence from the Brits, you enter war, and you must hold your place trying to defend the nation that you just started, which is technically America, but things could go a very different way. What I like is when you assign leaders, you're given these little portraits of the leaders. So the picture I dropped for Seth shows like Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, John Hancock, John Lawrence, Livingston, I presume.
Livingston and Carroll.
Carroll.
So what does this leader have to do in the game, Zach?
You assign the leader to take care of different things, such as the war or finance or navy or foreign policy.
Okay, and then anyone who doesn't have the little thing that they're doing next to them, they're just hanging around doing nothing.
Yeah, they're just chilling. So like if the screenshot I show, it says Franklin's on money and Hancock's on war right now, and Jefferson's handling foreign affairs.
And I do like that they are blocked off whether they're from New England, the Mid-Atlantic, or the South.
Yes.
But then I think the red coloring for New England probably blends in with the red borders that they use to separate everybody.
Borders. Yeah.
I do like that you could, in theory, put somebody who has no right to be leading the war in charge of leading the war.
Yeah.
You could be like, hey, Ben Franklin, I know you're a career diplomat and definitely some guy who really has some opinions about certain things, but how about you be in charge of the Navy? To be fair, to go back to my favorite person, Ethan Allen. He was a Connecticut-born man. Zach and I were able to visit his humble abode. Was that? Oh no, that was not Ethan Allen. That was Nathan Hale, who was a bad spy.
But Ethan Allen was also born in Connecticut.
Yes. Ethan Allen was born in Connecticut, and he traveled to Vermont. And he was a farmer, and he just decided that he wanted to get involved, and eventually made his way so that he formed a company of Vermont fighters and was very helpful in fighting the Brits. But he started off as a farmer.
They also almost formed their own sovereign state, the Vermont Republic.
They did. No, they did. The Vermont Republic was a thing for a little while.
Very short period of time, but yes.
Hey, if it was a thing for a day, it would have still been a thing. But so it's not necessarily the wrong choice to have somebody who is not historically known for running the war to be in charge of the war.
So Revolution 76 at the time did actually receive positive reviews. Computer Gaming World noted that the game offered depth and challenge.
The next game on our list is going to be Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death. It's Liberty or Death, developed by Koei in 1993 for the PC-98 and later ported to MS-DOS and the SNES and the Sega Genesis. Liberty or Death is a turn-based strategy game about the American Revolution created by a Japanese company. This is not the only American Revolution game that is created by a foreign company. When it was originally made for Japanese computers. which is
Yes.
fun because it is a game about the American Revolution that was made solely for the Japanese market and was originally designed for only Japanese hardware, which is a choice. But it would be like if we had video games made in the U.S. on U.S. equipment about Japanese
Right, yeah.
big moments in their history. It would just be a little odd, especially if they did a release in North America. It would be even more weirder. In the game, you control either the American Continental Army or the British Army, and your goal is to eliminate the troops on the other side and win the war, as it is usually the goal in any sort of war game. Gameplay is largely based on the military parts of the conflict, but there are some incorporation of civilian matters such as getting budget approvals done and avoiding being ousted as the commander-in-chief. On the American side, you could either choose from George Washington, Charles Lee, or Artemus Ward as your commander-in-chief. On the British side, you can have Thomas Gage, William Howe, or Sir Henry Clinton. The respective governing body, the Continental Congress or British Parliament, will determine the budget every quarter, which equals about 6 turns in game. You can allocate the funds between the districts that you control, the Navy, or to pay down your debt, which you most certainly have. You can recruit the militia regiments such as Patriots, Loyalists, and German mercenaries because they're one of the main reasons that we actually won the war. And these groups will fight and collect resources on their own, unless you recruit them for your side. After you strategize, there is a battle phase of the game. The map is a hex grid with each hex representing different terrain. You put your army on the field and move them across the battlefield. And it reminds me a lot of
Homework?
Homework. I'm saying like early 90s computer lab, some bright colors. There might be an election. There might be a war. We're not really sure what's going on. But there's like states that are purple and blue and they have numbers on them. Are they electoral votes? Are they your armies? Or are they just arbitrary? Who knows? On the screenshot that Zachary got, it is from the British side. And a man who looks like a smarmy British man is saying, I received $249 in funds from the government. I'll keep the troops supplied, but it's better to be safe than sorry, don't you think? And then you can say aye or nay, and that's $249, which was a lot of money at one point in time. What's that inflated? If $249 in 1776, what is that in $2026?
$9,591.45 according to this officialdata.org website.
Oh, official. So $10,000 got a lot last. Well, the game Liberty or Death received mixed reviews on release. People praised the accuracy of history. However, with that praise of accuracy of history also comes the criticism of just how dense the game is. And to be fair, it looks like it's a dense game, and not a lot of people want to play dense games to chillax.
Especially now they're Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo. Like this feels like a game. This feels like a game that was designed for computers, and it was still given a console release, which I think is wild.
It's not like consoles were in the classroom either, or if they were limited.
It also doesn't look much different on console. Like I'm looking at pictures, and it looks basically the same. It's just slightly modified so that like you
can control it with a controller.
Yeah.
I would be disappointed if I got Liberty or Death as a kid and thought that it was actually going to be fun.
Imagine, no, here's this. Imagine going to Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, or like Family Video or something like that, right? And you see it on the shelf, but back then, a lot of times video rental stores wouldn't include the full box. It might just be like the manual and then like a picture of the game, or just the game in like a plastic case, like an empty black plastic case. So all you get is the cover art of this game, and you're like, oh, cool. It's a Sega game about the American Revolution. I love America. I'm going to go home and play this game. And you pop it in, and it's basically playing on an Atlas. I'd be so sad.
To be fair, the cover kind of looks kind of boring as well.
It's true, yeah. It also just kind of look like homework.
It does kind of look like homework. I do like that they changed nothing in regards. They had a cover that they made for the original release, and then they just put it on to the Sega Genesis and said, this is it. I do like what's the back. It takes a lot to start a revolution, and even more to make it successful. After all, you need guns, money, and leaders who can rally the people. In Kawai's newest strategy game, Liberty or Death, We've supplied you with the basics, plus a few really cool extras.
This game was rated MA13 when it came out. That's the same rating Mortal Kombat got on the Sega Genesis.
I like that the screenshots are first a screenshot of like a zoomed up of the army portion of the game where you have like your little dudes on the map and it says position your troops carefully on the battlefield and it shows like some stats. And then the next one shows it looks like a guy teaching his troops and it says brief your forces on the next plan of actions. So far we're doing two things that aren't fighting. And that is placing units before a fight and making sure they know what's going to be fighting. And then the last one, the last screenshot, is just a zoomed up picture of George Washington. And it says, will it be George Washington or Thomas Gage? Making those big choices in this game.
That's like when you start Sonic and Knuckles and you have to decide between Sonic or Knuckles. Is it George Washington or Thomas Gage?
Yeah, I mean, the choice should be George Washington, of course.
If you put Liberty or Death for the Sega Genesis on top of Sonic and Knuckles, does it add Knuckles?
Oh, man. I feel like weird AI-generated images could come out of this conversation.
For sure. Now, getting into the next game, a bit on the nose, but Birth of America is a game that's in fact about the birth of America, as well as the period before that, because it involves the French and Indian War. Developed by SCP-BOA in 2006 for the PC, you take command of one of the major forces during the given period, which encompasses 1755 to 1783. You have more than 700 provinces to consider, from as far north as Quebec to as far south as Florida, and as far east as Boston to as far west as Mississippi. Your goal, should you choose to accept it, is to attack and capture various towns and other strategic locations in order to get the upper hand and win the war. There are also real events that may occur, such as battles from history or things like the signing of the Declaration of Independence, which could influence the morale of your troops. So for example, if you're playing as the British and the Declaration gets signed, your troops are probably going to be a little sad. But if you're playing as America, they'll probably be a little happy. Like a lot of games before it, it has a similar visual aesthetic of being basically just maps and place markers that use symbols to represent what's going on. But this game came out in 2006, so it looks a little better than the ones we previously talked about. There are 11 different scenarios, 3 campaigns, more than 90 different units to use, and 150 historical characters. There's also a naval component allowing you to train and command various ships and do combat in the sea against the enemy navy. Reviews of the game remained mostly average, but it did win a Best War Game Award in 2006 from Computer Games Magazine. GameSpot did say that the game doesn't do quite enough to broaden the genre's appeal to newcomers, which I would say is right. If I'm looking at the screenshot from this game, and if I saw this game and I had not been familiar with war games, I would not buy this game. But if I was familiar with war games, I might say, ooh, this game looks like it exceeds my expectations.
Finally, you've heard of No Man's Sky, but what about No Man's Land? Well, a game that has nothing to do with space exploration and everything to do with the history of the New World, No Man's Land was developed by German developer Related Designs and published by CGB Software and Strategy First, and it was released on Windows in North America in 2003. It was released nowhere else.
It's $1 on Steam right now.
Oh, the game, like many of the games on this list, is a real-time strategy because nothing says history better than simulations of war. The game had both a single-player and a multiplayer, with the single-player game being spread across 3 campaigns. The game had within it 6 playable unique factions with their own heroes and their own benefits and cons for playing them. The factions in the game that you could play as, both within the campaign and also, the campaigns has you playing specific factions. In the multiplayer, you could pick your factions are the English, the Spaniards, the Woodland Native Americans, the Prairie Native Americans, the American Settlers, and the American Patriots. The first campaign of the game, you play as Captain Esteban Carvinez, who is with the Spaniards faction, and you go against the English and the Native American factions, all while you try to conquistador your way through the New World in the campaign, The Conquest of a New World. The second campaign changes their perspective, and it's fight against the intruders and has you playing as those Native American tribes and fight against the intruders. First, you play as the Magua and the Iroquois, and you fight against the English. And the second part of the campaign has you playing the future of the first campaign, where you are playing as Grasswing leading the Cheyennes versus the American settlers who have allied with the Crows. Finally, the final campaign in this game is the one that is the reason why we brought this into this episode. It's the birth of the nation.
Not related to the film of the same name, which is about the founding of the Ku Klux Klan.
Correct. No, this is about our nation, America. You play as Jeremiah Sanders, and the first part takes place in the colonialization period from the perspective of the American settlers, and fighting not only the Spaniards, but also the Native Americans, and, of course, the greatest threat to American settlers, the Pilgrims. Time skip to the second part, and now you play as Samuel Sanders, who is related to Jeremiah Sanders, I imagine, and is set during the American Revolutionary War, where Samuel Sanders needs to rally the American patriots and beat back the British, all while teaming up with the Iroquois. The final act of the third campaign has you playing as William, also known as Billy Sanders, who is probably related to Sam and also Jeremiah. And you have to complete the railroad before Henry Starr completes the railroad, and you fight Henry Starr militarily, along with fighting hostile Native Americans, which I'm not really sure about the great railroad connections. I don't know if they went to war with each other. Like, the companies were like, get out of here. Anyway, the game received mainly mixed to positive reviews. It's got an aggregate score of 70 out of 100. However, it's only based on 12 reviews. So one review could probably spin that aggregation somewhere else. On game rankings, with 14 reviews, it's got a 65.86%. So, according to 26 people, the game's okay. Zach also just found out that it's available for $1.
Yeah, on Steam right now, yeah. That will do it for America's birthday. Thanks for turning 250, America. Here's to 250 more. And for our British listeners out there, please don't invade us unless you really want us back. But we hope that everyone enjoyed this episode. But before we close it out, we'll talk about our Retro Rewinds, which have nothing to do with America's 250th. My Retro Rewind was a game that Seth gave me called It Came From the Desert for MS-DOS. Developed by CinemaWare originally for the Amiga, but ported to DOS, It Came From the Desert is a 1989 action game inspired by 19 horror films, specifically 19 horror sci-fi movies like the film Them! Them! Is a horror sci-fi film that involves giant ants, which It Came From the Desert also involves giant ants. It's a action-adventure game. It has a point-and-click mechanic to it, but also an FPS component when you are fighting said giant ants. I don't have a lot of nostalgia for CinemaWare games, but I do know other people, especially Amiga users, really love them. I do think that if you like adventure games, if you like action games, and if you especially like pulp sci-fi, It Came From the Desert is fun. The game kind of holds up on its own, and I think that in that way it does hold up. But it is one of those games that, like, if you're not totally nostalgic for it, your mileage might vary with playing it for the first time. Next week, Seth, I want you to play a game that also doesn't have to do with America, and that is Crisis in the Kremlin.
It sounds like it has to do with everything that is the opposite of America. And on what am I playing it on?
Oh, MS-DOS.
Oh, excellent. Zach had me play Alien Breed for MS-DOS, which was developed and published by Team 17, which I realized is... I've played a lot of Team 17 games, and I didn't realize that they were around for so long because this is one of their first games, and they released it back in 1991 for the Amiga and 1993 for MS-DOS. It's a top-down, run-and-gun video game based on the Alien films, but not the first one, which is a horror movie, but the second one, that is an action movie. So it's a singular alien breed, but it's based on the plural aliens, if that makes sense. Also, makes sense that this is one of their early games for Team 17 because it is a movie tie-in. And those are usually early games for developers. But they took the Aliens movie, made it top down, and then mixed it with Gauntlet the Arcade, and that's Alien Breed. There's two Space Marines, Johnson and Stone, and they're the only human beings left to clear the base of aliens, divided up into 6 levels. The game plays from a top-down perspective, and you have to get through those 6 levels, killing aliens and trying not to get killed, all while conserving equipment and ammunition. But it's a pretty fun game. I enjoyed it. It plays very similar to other type of top-down kind of shooter games, like that Jurassic Park game and stuff like that. But it's definitely holds up in regards to the aesthetic and the gameplay. And next week, Zach, you could play Grand Prix Circuit 1988 for MS-DOS.
Great, I will. Well, with that, I want to thank everyone for listening. If you have any memories of any of America's time in the American Revolution, let us know, because you might be immortal. If you have any memory playing any of the games that we've talked about, though, also let us know. You can email us at classicgamingbrothers@gmail.com. We're available wherever podcasts can be found via Podbean, iTunes, or iHeartRadio. We're available on social media. Look us up. We're available on Twitch. Look us up. We're available on Patreon. We're available on YouTube. Like and subscribe. With that, Seth, am I forgetting anything?
That you have only one regret, that we only have one life to live for our country. But anyway, Zach, the other thing that you're forgetting is don't play games like my brother.
And don't play games like my brother.
I've been Seth.
And I've been Zach.
And we've been the Classic Gaming Brothers.
That's right.
Right, America.